What is going on, guys? Bingo here. I'm with the Duel Factory for another episode of X2 Drop. So it's been a few weeks, but since we did this, but you know, we're here now, right? So before we get started, I do want to shout out a member from the Discord that's a big fan. He just had to stop playing the game for some personal reasons, but shout outs to the Duelist. It was fun having you around the Discord. So if you ever come back, make sure you hit us up in there. For anybody that doesn't know, we do have a Discord. It's got a decent amount of people in it. You know, if you just want to talk, shoot the shit, and maybe get some matches in, the link's in the description of wherever you're watching this. And then the Duel Factory has his own YouTube channel. He's uploading content pretty consistently. I'd say like once a week at least, for deck profiles, theories, combo videos, stuff like that. So feel free to check them out, youtube.com/theduelfactory. And with all of that out of the way, this week's episode is going to be a lot of fun to talk about. So if I was in charge of Konami, the Yu-Gi-Oh department, how would I fix the game? Like if I had absolute total control, what are problems that I would want to address and how would I address them? So we thought of this topic about 2 weeks ago when Joe asked if I wanted to do the podcast, and I was like, not really, because I'm just getting pissed off thinking about the game. But I like where this one was going. So there's a couple of bullets I want to touch on. Communication with the community, product design, prize support, and then I guess we'll make a separate category, banless development. And then I would like to talk about secondary format / alternative ways to play. So what was the first thing I said? Product design?
Yes.
Okay. So do you have any thoughts on this before I jump in? Because I can ramble on about this one for about 2-3 minutes. Easy.
Design's kind of weird. I'm so used to like the norm of it, but like there's so much more better that can be structured with it. I think the only thing that honestly that if we look at like projects that I think that they actually implement well is like structured decks. That's the only thing I think they do well personally. But I'm actually curious to see what you think would make like product development better, just so I can like grasp my fragility of mind around this.
So overall, the way product is designed, I don't have a massive problem with it, because in order for you to overhaul like card design, which we're not talking about here, we're talking about product design. But in order for you to overhaul card design, the only way Konami can realistically get away from an archetype specific game is to introduce a form of rotation or a massive limitation on the card pool available, or else the power creep is way too fast. So I'm not going to talk about card design. I'm talking about product design.
There you go.
And they've had some money makers, right? Like was it Dual Overload or Dual Devastator? Where
Dual Devastator is the one that we all bought that we thought was really good for like a starter set. Well, not even a starter set.
It's just hey, buy this, you'll get some good staples, and it's a starting point. That knocked it out of the park. Yeah, they there's complaints about every set, but that was really well. The 2019 Megatins that had the super dope promos, and the new secret rare printing, like that was really good. But as far as product design, I think Konami misses the mark on a couple of different levels where they can really take their game to the next level. And that would be the way they handle chase cards, as well as the rarity system as a whole. Because when you break it down, there's no money unless you're scalping like the player base as a secondary vendor. It's really hard to maintain value in this game compared to other card games. And I think a way to mitigate that would be to kind of mirror other card games where you have your base rarities. Even Japan does this, by the way. Like you have lower rarities for the chase cards, and then you make the the ash blossoms, the evenly matched, the infinite impermanence. You make those into a special rarity that doesn't count towards the set, kind of like what the prismatics do, where those go into like the rare slot, right? Like when they're printed, yeah. So it's just like a bonus, right? You're not mad that you didn't get a rare. You're excited that you got this super secret rare printing of a card. And that helps the game hold long-term collector's value and really opens up that market because it's scarcity, but it doesn't make this bottleneck in a price point that limits new player introduction by making $100 individual cards on a consistent basis. Like,
yeah, for sure.
During Sun and Moon base set format for Pokemon, Tapu Lele was a staple like in every deck besides like Greninja Break. And I think at its peak, and this is like absolute hype, the base rarity form of the card was $30, and that was like a 1 day price spike. Right? You can build you were able to build every deck in that format for under $100 as long as you weren't playing towards rarity. Now, if you were building towards rarity, you'd spend over $1,000 easy, right?
Yeah.
You got your secret rare Ultra Balls, your secret rare double colorless, your rainbows. Like, I think that is a very good design aspect because you don't limit anybody's accessibility to the cards. And I would be way more likely to buy product if instead of having there's two secret rares per box and there's 32 packs per box.
It's 24.
Okay, so the 24 packs. So instead of having a 1 in 12 shot to get the secret rare and there's 8 secret rares per set. So I've like 1 out of 64 chance to get the secret rare I want. Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Why I'm not going to buy product on those odds. I'm losing money at that point. I'll just buy the single, even though the single is $60 to $80. But if you do this, you make the secret rares come as supers or ultras, or just it would require a total redesign of the rarity system. But I'm not going to get into that. Okay. Have the multiple printings of the chase cards would fix some entry level problems for this game. Not on a mechanical level, but on a financial level. So that's what I think the product design needs a massive overhaul when it comes to the rarity system.
Oh yeah, something for kind of like to add on like product design or something like that. Something that me and a bunch of the buddies from Decatur, like Kyle, Bobby, Andrew, and stuff like that talked about. And this would help from like because essentially like every card game, including like especially like Yu-Gi-Oh, you can divide it into 2 groups of people, right? Like competitive and casual players, right?
Yeah.
However, like one thing that they all have in common, especially when they go to like deck building and stuff like that, is all decks benefit from the good staple cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, right? So like for example, you have sets that have chase cards like Infinite Impermanence or Evenly Matched, Lightning Storm, Forbidden Drop, and Triple Tactic Talents, all that fun stuff, right?
Yeah.
Something we had been talking about way even before like these super overpriced like staples like came out. And something that I think would really benefit like both players, especially like card design, is something that Konami could do. And I think because Dual Devastator was a really good set for like entry level points, right? Because it had all these staple cards built into it. Something that we had talked about for years is if you actually like, because you could keep track of like obviously that it's not as popular right now because of COVID-19, but you could keep like tournament results of stuff like side decking patterns and stuff like that for like the player general basis and stuff like that. And you could release a set like once or maybe twice a year, right? Kind of like a master set in Magic or something like that, that has like these like oftenly popularly played cards in the sets, and they all just come in one rarity, kind of like how you see like the Legendary Collection, Kaiba Collection was like all secret rare, or it could be also whatever. But it just has all these cards in it, and they're easily accessible to both player bases, because then you'd have more people willing to spend money on product, and you'd have more people willing to actually like deck build, because it'd be really good deck building sets, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we haven't been able to play these cards for the first 6 months, but now they're openly accessible to everyone. Let's give everyone a chance to play it, and I might pick up a box or two or something like that. but it has to be like cards people are willing to play. Because, like I said, the most popular strategies and stuff like that, even though casual players don't go towards that strategies, the cards that are in them, they would still go to them too. So I think it appeals to both sets at that point.
Yeah,
but that takes.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was going to say personally, I was a big advocate of that set, Dual Devastator, because it's kind of that idea. But if I was in charge of Konami, I'll be honest, I would only print that set once a year. And it would be a targeted set of the most relevant cards that I want to get to the player base. Like if a relevant card's a common, I'm probably not going to put it in there. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I'm going to print it after Nationals because I do want to push product. And like there's nothing wrong with that. As a player, I understand the company needs to make money. But if you could look forward to getting that set every year, like that's something to look forward to. Maybe you're not going to Nationals and you're just waiting. Like you don't need those cards because you use events to push product. But we've talked about this one for a little bit, so I want to move on to the next one, which is your hot button topic of the night, which would be prize support. So I'll touch on it because I definitely feel like you have a lot to say about it, but we've all heard it. The prize support's terrible. There's a lot of good ideas on how to make it better. I don't know which one's the best solution. I'll be honest, their whole tournament scene right now needs an overhaul, but that's not their fault. All right, I'll let you take it.
It's like one of the things I was even talking to like one of my buddies about it because he plays Magic and I play Yu-Gi-Oh! And we always like go back and forth over which game's like better and stuff like that. But something that really like drives me nuts about Yu-Gi-Oh! Right? Is even if at like any of like the highest events or even like the lower ones, like regionals and stuff like that, you have to place so high for such minimal return. You know what I mean? Like for example, what is it? The regional that you go to, right? If you top 8, you're essentially playing for a Win-A-Mat. Yeah. If you do top 4, you get deck boxes and a Win-A-Mat. If you go to a YCS, top 32, you get a mat for a tournament that generally will draw like 1,500 people. And then to actually get any like the cool prizes, you have to top 4. And like for people who are going there realistically, like yeah, I get it. Not everyone's going to receive something in prize support, but they make it so hard. And not only that, but your investment is such a low return, even if you do well. Even if you win the event, like don't get me wrong, like prize cards and like free game systems and stuff like that, but like that's for one person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's super cool. But I'll be honest, like you should, like if you win first place in a tournament of that size, you should be able to walk away financially better off than you were when you got there. Like I
would think.
You know, that's the point of a prize. Like even if you gave like a case of a product or I don't know what the fuck it is. I'll let you. You've probably thought about that way more than me, but I shouldn't have to literally vend my prizes to make some money. Like when you come in first, like it's ridiculous. So. All right,
don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to make a living playing like competitive Yu-Gi-Oh. Like that's just insane to even think about.
No, absolutely.
But like I would like to, especially like for whenever I won my first regional or anything like that, like the payout for what I actually did was so minimal. It made me sit there and I'm like, wow, I really just wasted 10 hours of my day doing this. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, I was super excited because it was the first event I ever won or anything like that, but I got a mat and I got a deck box. And I'm like, this was not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, but plus then, like, the drive time and like sometimes you literally have to sleep overnight there, like at a hotel.
Don't get me wrong. My buddies like hiked me up at the end and stuff like that. Like it made it a whole lot of fun and stuff like that. But like it's crazy to me to think about that. And like especially like what is it? I think like Pokemon, especially like for the division that has like the kids and stuff like that. Like if you do well there, I believe like they pay for like tuition and stuff like that, or like scholar whatever.
Yeah, that I mean that's Worlds winning, but yeah, I get your point. What do you get for winning Worlds in Yu-Gi-Oh?
You get a World's prize card and a pat on the back.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Well, like technically you get a match.
That World says this year you are the best player in the world. You should get something that matters. Like
anything. Like Jesus. Like okay, you get a trophy. You get a trophy that says congratulations, you were the best person in a children's trading card game this year. Like it's just infuriating thinking about it sometimes. Like don't get me wrong, I love playing the game, but like
the way I see it is if the prize support doesn't make me want to play, then as a player, I view it as the company doesn't really care about the player base playing, so why should I care about this company? I don't know.
I think it's the fact that they don't care about the player base. I think they're just so set in their old school ways that like it's just like actually like killing like wants to actually go play in the game. I think that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, the game itself can never move forward in the like I don't want to say competitive, but everything in like the gaming realm is becoming this competitive scope, right? It's always how can we stand on our own 2 feet and be taken seriously in this realm of gaming. And mediocre prize support, like I'm not going to take you seriously. But we know strictly monetary payouts, like that doesn't have to solely be the answer. We've seen card games fail that were offering thousands of dollars as prize support, but they have a really genuinely good game here, and they're just not taking care of it.
I'm not asking for money. I'm just like, give us a reason to play, like just anything. You know what I mean? But like, okay. I don't know.
Yeah, this debate or this discussion has been had plenty of times, but we would definitely overhaul and revamp through thorough analysis of what the best route would be for prize support. The next thing I want to talk about that we've talked about a few times in Wave Tops would be introducing an alternate format. I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh! Can stay on this track that it's on forever, right? Like you can only power creep so much before it becomes just like, this is ridiculous. So I would like to introduce the idea like get rid of whatever their definition of traditional format is, and take that label and put it onto modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. And I want to mess around with the idea of a rotation or a heavily altered format. Because when you have access to 20 years of cards, it limits card design.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm right. So something I would introduce, like you don't necessarily have to do rotation. You can keep the advanced format, the traditional format. Something I really, really enjoy, and Konami could do this. They could theoretically, for competitive events, right? They could rotate it every 3 months. Just bring back a retro format. Something that people have been doing anyway. That I've like almost just a general example, right? If you go on Twitch at any point in the day, if you're looking up Yu-Gi-Oh!, I can promise you someone is streaming an old retro format that people are playing in a tournament for, whether it's 2014 Nationals format, 2011 format, Duelist Alliance, whatever. Konami could totally do that as one of those options, kind of like how Magic has like, Vintage or Legacy or something like that. You could totally do that and just rotate and have competitive tournaments for it, and simply just rotate what format you're playing every 3 months. Because there's formats from 2002 all the way up to that, and there are some beloved formats, right? And people would go out and just play these. And the nice thing about like these older format stuff and stuff like that, like, yes, people are wanting to like rarity max their decks and stuff like that, but if you take away having to max the deck, which is something I never thought I would say, these vintage decks are very affordable. Yeah. And something fun to do other than sitting there boggling your mind, think about how the fuck am I going to break a Dragon Length board for the 1,000th time? You know what I mean? Just do something to keep the game fresh.
Yeah, and we talked earlier, like fucking months ago at this point, doing that creates the opportunity to create new exciting product that re-releases or reintroduces the relevant decks of those formats. Like you can genuinely make a structure deck of the 2014 national champion, right? You can like that would be super freaking cool. But even if you didn't want to overhaul products or anything like that, you can just do something like, okay, let's take the products that have come out within the past 6 months to a year, and then take another set block, right? I don't have any off the top of my head, but say the set's released from January 1st, 2013 to December 2014. So you can use this past year and then that block, and you can build decks out of that. Because they're always trying to push new products, right? It's always about the new stuff because that's how they make money. I understand that. So,
oh yeah, it's just you could essentially, like how they were trying to do battle packs. You can do the same thing, the exact same concept, but instead these are just all cards that were relevant in this format. Sell it like that. I guarantee you it sells like hotcakes. People are like, oh yeah, I remember playing this format, and they would buy it in droves, and we would probably see buyouts and something about John Moore bitching about that part. But the point is, it would be accessible to everyone. It's something fun to do.
Yeah, and even if they don't want to or even if they do not want to mass try this out, they have the venues. Well, they did. They had a way to test it, right? You can test it at a regional or a YCS or a series of regionals, see how it goes. Which brings me into my next point is the communication with the community and the marketing. Marketing is a weird word, but fucking talk to the community. Like, it's not that hard. I don't know why big companies don't do this.
They really don't. And
because how many times has there been a side event at a YCS that you didn't even know about, or like there was something going on at like nationals that wasn't advertised, and you're like, oh, that's pretty freaking cool. Like, they have this venue, they have this opportunity to hype something up and really get everybody excited that's going to these events, but they just don't take advantage of it. Why not? Why not
literally?
Why not leak some cards like yourself? Why not tease some cards about a product coming out ahead of time? Why not hype up yourself? Like, you have the platform, you have the means, and you're just not taking advantage of it. Like, you're literally losing money because you're not talking to the community.
Yeah. Konami R&D is definitely a weird place, and whoever like actually like more about communicating with the actual like players and stuff like that, whoever decides to come up with like the restrictions on the ban list, I honestly think just doesn't actually like play the game. They just see like specific cards and they're like, oh, let's do this and see what happens. Like,
yeah. It honestly,
how can a game be?
It feels like when they are developing a ban list, they just completely ignore everything going on in the outside world. And they have a group of 8 people that are all mid to low tier players, and then they have one good player. And they're just like, that card's fucking broken, let's ban it. Like,
what's hilarious? Because our ban lists, for lack of a better word, literally suck every time they're unveiled to us. But Konami has this whole like Diet Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links program that people use. And like, 1, they're actually quality lists, and 2, they'll tell you why they did something specific. We don't even get that.
Yeah.
Like, you have the actual game, and then you have the diet version of the game, but you're like, what?
And that brings into the digital platform, because the reason Duel Links is so successful and on the nose with every ban list they have is because they have the fucking data for the amount of cards played. Like, they have everything. They can just search it up and see what is the problem, because that's how online platforms work. So if you had a traditional format online platform, you could see, it has a ranking system. It could have the same fucking ranking system as Duel Links, and it would accomplish the same thing. What are the top players at King of Games or Plat 1 playing?
What are they playing
consistently?
Yeah,
like, what are the problems? What's their win rate with this card? What's their win rate with this card? Is this in, how many side decks is this in? Like,
don't get me wrong. Like, before everything happened, like, it would be a pain in the ass to like track this, because like as if anyone's ever seen a Yu-Gi-Oh player actually turn in their deck list, it's literally just chicken scratch.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
like,
on that note, Konami needs to go to you have to submit your deck online because they can't gather data. Like
God, that would be
you,
so. Oh,
you
if we could submit our deck list
fucking
online.
physical. I cannot believe that the majority of people going to events, it's it's a printed out deck list. Still, it
You
was
know, that
like
was
that. It
actually.
was like that in 2002 when I was going to Toys R Us to play a fucking tournament.
You know, that was actually a strat for the ARG Circuit Series when they were still going on. Because in Top Cut, the players' lists were actually given to. They photocopied the list and they gave it to the top 16 players so they could read the list of what everyone was playing.
Yeah, it's
You know, one of the strats was to write as poorly as possible so your opponent couldn't read your deck list. That was an actual strat.
yeah,
I'm
because
like, you can't be serious. And then if you went to ARG's website and looked at them, Jesus Christ, you thought it was a kindergartner writing all these.
so I don't know what the best approach would be for this for Yu-Gi-Oh, but all Top Cut in Pokemon is open deck list. Right, it is. So I don't know. Like I firmly an open deck list is fine. Like in Top Cut, I don't know if the side deck should be open or what.
Well, I think the side deck. I think the side deck should be open. It makes games super interesting, especially when you know what your opponent can and can't put in all the games. Because ARG used to do that, and it made the game so interesting because you would just see people play differently because of it. It was actually kind of crazy.
Yeah. So they need to get past this caveman paper deck list. And what was it? Didn't the UK have online deck list turn in for the one of the last major events they ran?
One of the I think the last YCS that they ran before everything closed down, everything was online submission because of how big the event was.
Yeah. And it's way easier on the staff. It's way more streamlined. Like don't even give an option. Just say you can't play unless you turn the deck list online. Period. And then people are gonna bitch. People are gonna complain for the first one or two events, and then because you're communicating with the player base that this is the expectation, and it's well known, people will get the fuck over it. And you develop an app where you can just simply either type in your deck list or whatever the fuck it is.
Don't get me wrong. Like, what is it? So this is a couple years back. I would understand people not being able to do it, but got the year's 2021. I almost promise you, every person who can think about it has access to even a smartphone at this point. It's not uncomfortable.
Almost everybody going to an event has built their deck on Dueling Book.
Literally.
And hey, that online platform you developed earlier, make it so it can export a deck list to the website that deck lists need to go into.
Oh, that'd be so nice. God, I'm getting excited thinking about the stuff that's never going to happen. But
yeah, but the point of this, we definitely didn't get through everything I wanted to talk about, but we're already almost out of time. It was a lot of fun to think about what we think the company should do if we were in that position. There's a lot of problems with this game, but at the base of it, we love to play it. And as we say every time we have these types of discussions, it's not that we hate the game. It's we want it to be the best it can be, and we just definitely feel like it's not. And honestly, it never will be, but some of these small changes can make a gigantic difference. Even if the only thing that changed was online deck lists, I'd be happy. Because
honestly, I would be happy with even a singular change if I'm going to be 100%.
I genuinely feel like this game is not taken care of. It's wasted potential. And I know Konami is a giant company, right? The Yu-Gi-Oh division is just this tiny, tiny piece of the pie. But if I'm running Konami, like the entire company, I want every division I have to make as much money as I fucking can. And they're just missing the mark. So you got any final comments?
I just want everyone to know. I know it's been a long, long time since we put up the last episode. I'm pretty sure it's been 4 weeks. But rest assured, Will's French still has no sauce.
Piccolo, you have no sauce. No. Hey.
Hey guys, it has been a fantastic time doing the podcast again. I don't know if we'll do another one next week. It's just we'll see how it goes. The next one we do, we'll try to keep it positive, a little bit more exciting and less negative. But remember, we love the game. We enjoy playing it. Well, I enjoy talking about it these days. And if you have enjoyed the conversation and you want to be a part of it, join the Discord. Just jump over, say whatever, hit at Happy Doug and say he has no sauce. He'll love it. And I think that's about it. So I'll see you guys back here. I don't want to say next week because that's too much commitment. Later.
Wow.